Hey guys, welcome back to the biggest agricultural platform in Namibia known as Nduna Wengombe, which means headman of cattle. My name, of course, Mitchell Mutumba Simata, aka the headman of cattle. On this channel, Nduna Wengombe. This past few weeks, I've been talking to a couple of farmers and I've been asking them, like, do you guys ever consider retiring from farming? One said, retiring from farming? No. And then he told me, like, no, man, Mitchell, I was a teacher half of my life and farming is my retirement plan. I was like, okay. Now, have you ever considered what you're going to do after farming? And he was like, not really. I think I'll leave my farm in a box. It got me to thinking that what happens? Do farmers not retire? Because many of the people take up farming when they retire from white collar jobs and then go to blue collar jobs, which is now farming and so forth. But there's no pension funds. I don't think there's any saving package for farmers. Then I decided to do research on this. So then I went and found information on the psychology of retirement for farmers. As you guys know, I'm never writing solo. I got my trusted notebook here, which is actually finished, with my not so flattering handwriting. Let's get into this. But before I get into this video, I want to remind you guys to hit that sharp button, hit the bell to turn it on to be notified of future uploads, and share the video. But let's get into this. Retirement is not a single event. It involves both emotional and financial consideration. The word farmers never retire, they only retreat. By this, he meant that retired farmers tend to retain an interest in the farm, even when their children have taken over. This is sometimes to the frustration of the child, but it can also be welcomed depending on the relationship between parent and child. Farmers often find it difficult to retire, either because they don't really want to or because they are afraid of not having enough funds to do so. It is probably safe to say that the average age of farmers worldwide hovers around 60, while the average retirement age could be around 75. This puts them 10 to 15 years older than the usual retirement age. Essential, and not only to beat inflation. It's not just about you. Nobody can force a farmer to retire. The best a family member or close friend can do is to suggest downsizing or sell or letting the farm and moving to a retirement village. The truth, though, is that elder farmers have a responsibility to themselves and their families to consider the situation objectively. While you might still be fit enough to farm, at the age of 75, you need to consider how long you will still enjoy your health. You also need to ask yourself what effect your stubbornness, refusal to quit farming will have on your spouse and those waiting to take over the farm. It is difficult, of course, to blame someone who has spent 50 years of his or her life building a business from being stubborn. When confronted by uncertainty about the future, but there are ways to deal with this uncertainty. Robert, Robert Archley breaks down the process of retirement into phases. These are pre-retirement and retirement stage, followed by a period of contentment, which could switch depending on the individual, to the discontentment and eventually reorientation. Plan it properly. He explains that a full retirement plan should consider more than just how much money you have to save. A strategy for tackling the emotional aspect of retirement, such as finding a meaningful activity to replace work, will help ease the feeling of loneliness, boredom, and disillusionment, and sometimes set in after the initial excitement of being job-free wears off. Archley also recommends that soon-to-be retirees try to visualize the retirement. Using a blank sheet of paper, make a sketch of what you would like to do in retirement without any financial, geographical, health, or other limitation. On the other sheet of paper, write the words you want to use to describe your retirement. In a second column, write the words you do not want to be used to describe your retirement. For some, retirement is seen as a time of opportunity. For others, it is a time of fear and uncertainty. This exercise can illustrate the positive and negative aspects when one has to retire. Now write the paragraph about the things you want to do in retirement, such as your fantasies. Follow this up with a paragraph of things you want to be in retirement. Use a third paragraph to itemize the things you want to have, own, or hold in retirement. Consider whether they are tangible, like properties, or intangible, like being recognized in the community. In a fourth paragraph, write down the things you want to contribute, give, or help to bring about in retirement. This could be financial, time related, or perhaps to do with political or social change. This section can help provide the positive aspect of retirement. The final step is to outline the things you need to do now to make your future dreams a reality. The most important thing to avoid is to end up without any interests and the things to do in retirement. It brings me to my mentor who I had a a telephone call with last night. We were talking about retirement, and he was like, he's 60. He was telling me, no, man, Mitch, I am ready to retire by the age of, I'm in my late 60s, so I'm getting ready to retire. And I was like, you want to retire? Really? He was like, yeah, I'm not going to kill myself here on this farm. My father killed himself here in terms of he worked himself to the point his body couldn't, and he passed away. Me, I treat this farming thing like a job. It's not a lifestyle to me, it's a job to me. I come, I do my job, I go after I'm done. So those are some of the things we can do, man, because on the end of the day, we all need to retire. And my mentor says he treats farming like a job, which always reminds him in his head that his time will come where he has to step aside and allow others to take over. But if you don't look at it like that, it's going to be difficult. I think for farmers, you can really orientate yourself. You can take up things you're interested in. Maybe you wanted to um, make your own brand of alcohol. You can actually start focusing on that. Or maybe you wanted to build something. You could actually focus on that because now you have the time for it. But I know it's easier said than done, isn't it?